All right, so I got a little bit cut off. I was just saying that on this problem, we used two different rules. We used the power to a power rule first, and then when we did multiplying. Two more problems, sorry about that. This only does 10 minutes at a time. All right, so the order of operations tells us to do parentheses first, if we can, and then do the exponent on the outside. So parentheses and then exponent. So we're going to do that here. So we're going to just work on the inside to start. So we have some parentheses and the 3 we're going to keep, and I'm going to draw the fraction there in case that we need to move stuff around. When you divide, you need to divide the exponents first. So I know you can simplify this fraction. They're both divisible by 4, but if you didn't know, and you know it's not going to flip around, you can do this in your calculator. 4 divided by 16, and then math, fraction. So we need a 1 here and a 4 there. All right, we're going to put our x. We have 5 and then minus 1. Subtracting exponents, 5 minus 1 is 4. And we have a y. We have 1 minus 4 is negative 3. All right, so now we're going to look at this a little bit more carefully. I'm going to move this to the bottom because it was in the wrong place. So the 1 stays because it has a positive exponent, but I'm not going to write it because it's a 1. The x to the 4th stays on top because it has a positive exponent. The y moves to the bottom because its exponent was negative. And the 4 has a positive exponent, so it stays on the bottom. And this whole thing to the 3rd power. Now we're going to use the power to a power rule, which says that we multiply the exponent on the outside to everything on the inside. Remember that the 4 has an imaginary 1 exponent. So on the top, we have x. 4 times 3 is 12. And on the bottom, we have 4. 1 times 3 is 3. Y, 3 times 3 is 9. Now we do need to simplify 4 to the 3rd, or come up with a number for that, which is 64. So that is the answer to that problem. This is a lot of steps. First, we use the dividing rule, divide the coefficients, subtract the exponents. Then we use the negative exponent rule to move negative 3 to the bottom. Then we use power to multiply the exponents. And then just simplification to simplify to 64. All right, let's rock this last one. It's pretty big. It's got dividing, negative exponents. It's got multiplying and all sorts of things. So let's attack this the best way. Negative exponents on the outside of parentheses really should kind of tell us to move things. So we're going to move this whole set of parentheses to the bottom. Okay, just the whole thing we're moving to the bottom. We can keep this 4 negative because it moved in the parentheses. Okay, we're going to move the stuff from the bottom to the top and make their exponents positive on the outside. All right, now we can really get started. We should probably, looking for something to write on if it gets long. Okay. So we can't multiply yet or divide yet because we have the exponents on the outside. So we're going to distribute that exponent to each thing in the parentheses. All right. So we have negative 4. 1 times 3 is 3. X, negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Y, 1 times 3 is 3. Okay. Next, we have 2 squared, 5 or x, 5 times 2 is 10. Y, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And on the bottom, we have 8. 1 times 2 is 2. X, 2 times 2 is 6. Y, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Okay, now we're going to just simplify these parts, the coefficients that have an exponent. We're going to get numbers for those, and then we'll proceed. All right, so negative 4 to the third power is negative 64, and everything else in here will keep the same. 2 squared is 4. And on the bottom, 8 squared is 64. Okay, next, we will multiply. So we're going to do the top first because we need to do that before we move to the bottom. So we have negative 64 times 4, coefficients, is negative 256. X, we have negative 3 plus 10, 7. Y, 3 plus negative 6 is negative 3. On the bottom, the same, 64, x to the 6th, y to the negative 8. And now we're down just to a division problem. When you divide with exponents, you divide the coefficients is going to be negative 4. Negative 256 divided by 64 is negative 4. X, 7 minus 6 is 1. Y, negative 3 minus negative 8 is negative 3 plus 8, which is 5. And that is the answer. The denominator goes away. This is tricky stuff. This kind of problem is well harder than what you will need to do. So if you can do this kind of a problem, you're going to be all set. All right, you should have enough information now to practice at our stations. Please write down any questions you have and show work. All right, bye.